The Army mess hall was alive with its usual midday energy. The scent of hot meals drifted through the air as soldiers laughed, traded stories, and enjoyed a rare slice of normalcy. Then, without warning, everything changed. The doors to the mess hall swung open, and the room fell into an abrupt and stunned silence. In walked none other than President Donald Trump. There were no flashing cameras, no reporters trailing behind, just a few military officials and members of his Secret Service. Detail. His entrance was quiet but commanding. The soldiers instinctively rose to attention, unsure how to react. This was highly irregular. Presidents didn't simply show up unannounced in mess halls. Trump glanced around the room, then raised his voice, not loudly, but with authority. "At ease, soldiers," he said. "Mind if I join you?" No one moved at first. Some hesitated. Others looked around, waiting to see how their peers would respond. The atmosphere was tense and uncertain. Private Ryan Carter held his fork mid-air, unsure if he should continue eating or stand up. Across from him, Sergeant Emily Hayes exchanged a glance with her fellow soldiers. Confusion and curiosity were written on every face. Why was the president here? There had been no scheduled visit, no advanced warning. It simply didn't make sense. Slowly, the soldiers began to relax. They eased back into their seats as Trump walked casually to an empty chair and sat down. Despite his unassuming demeanor, the room remained unnervingly quiet. Resting his hands on the table, Trump looked around at the men and women seated before him. "I didn't come here today as a politician," he began, his voice steady. "I came as someone who wants to understand what you go through. I'm here to listen." His words echoed through the room. Private Carter shifted uncomfortably. Part of him wanted to speak, to share the burdens he carried, but another part wasn't sure. Was this just a political gesture? After a long pause, Sergeant Hayes spoke. Her voice cut through the silence. "You want to know what it's like?" she asked. Trump gave a small nod. She motioned to the soldiers around her. "It's missing first steps, missed birthdays, last goodbyes, and everything in between. We serve, but sometimes it feels like no one really sees us." Trump met her gaze. He could see she wasn't just speaking for herself. She was speaking for every man and woman in uniform. The mess hall, usually loud and full of laughter, had turned into a space of solemn honesty. This wasn't just about food. It was about shared sacrifice, pain, and resilience. "What's the hardest part about serving?" Trump asked, his tone sincere. The question hung in the air. Several soldiers looked at one another, unsure who should respond. Emily finally answered. "It's not the training or the deployments," she said quietly. "It's the fear that, when we leave the service, we'll be forgotten." Trump leaned forward, visibly moved. Another soldier, Corporal James, chimed in. "We give everything we've got, but sometimes, when we come home, we don't even know where to start again." Trump nodded solemnly. He'd seen the reports and statistics, but this was different. Hearing it face to face, from those who had lived it, hit harder. These weren't numbers. They were people. Real people with real pain. Sergeant Hayes continued, her voice cracking slightly. "I have a daughter, Mr. President. She's 5. Last year I missed her birthday, her first day of school, and Christmas. She asks why I'm not there, and I don't have a good answer." Trump's expression softened. This wasn't just a soldier speaking. It was a mother. "We serve because we love our country," Hayes said. "But sometimes it feels like we're being forced to choose between being good soldiers and being good parents." There was a long pause. The weight of her words lingered heavily. "You shouldn't have to make that choice," Trump finally said, his voice low and steady. Slowly, more soldiers began to share their stories. A medic recounted holding a dying friend in his arms on the battlefield. A young private admitted he had been suffering from PTSD, but was too ashamed to ask for help. No one interrupted. Not even the president. He simply listened. Many of these soldiers had never spoken so openly about their experiences. But in this moment, something felt different. It felt safe. "We don't need fancy speeches, sir," Private Carter said. "We need real action." Trump met his eyes. "That's exactly why I'm here." He wasn't there to campaign or make hollow promises. He was there to listen and understand. Master Sergeant Walker, a man with over 2 decades of service, spoke next. "I had a buddy. Served his whole life. When he got out, he had no job, no support system. He died homeless." The room fell into an even deeper silence. Walker's voice cracked with emotion. "We give our best years to this country, and sometimes when we come back, there's nothing waiting for us." Trump clenched his jaw. He had always spoken in support of veterans, but now it felt different. Personal. "That should never happen," he said firmly. "We don't just owe you respect. We owe you safety, stability, and support." Looking around the room, he continued, "You're not just numbers in a report. You're real people with real stories. And those stories deserve to be heard." The soldiers sat quietly, processing his words. Some nodded. Others simply stared at him, evaluating the sincerity behind his message. For the first time in years, many felt truly seen. Trump took a deep breath. "America is strong because of you. It's time we show that strength by standing behind you." A few heads turned. Some faces softened. A flicker of hope began to emerge. "Promise you this," Trump said. "Veterans and active duty soldiers will not be forgotten, not on my watch." Skepticism lingered. After all, politicians made promises all the time, but there was something different about the way he said it. It didn't feel rehearsed. It felt real. "Hold me to it," he added. "If I fail to deliver, call me out." When he left the mess hall, the soldiers huddled in small groups, discussing what had just happened. "Do you think he meant it?" Ryan asked Emily. She hesitated. "I don't know," she admitted. "But if he did, it could change everything." Days passed. Life returned to routine, but the memory of that visit lingered. Most had seen politicians make grand gestures before, but this time felt different. Hayes couldn't shake the feeling. Could he actually make a difference? Back in Washington, Trump sat in the Oval Office, haunted by the stories he'd heard. He had always supported the military, but now his perspective had shifted. He picked up the phone and called his advisors. "I want a plan," he said. "No red tape, no delays. These soldiers gave us everything. It's time we give back." His team got to work. They were accustomed to Trump's pace, but this time, the urgency was deeper. It was personal. Within days, a proposal reached his desk. It focused on improving healthcare for veterans, strengthening mental health services, and creating better programs to help soldiers transition back into civilian life. Trump read through it carefully, making notes in the margins. "Not enough," he muttered, jotting down further changes. Meanwhile, across military bases, soldiers noticed something unusual. Surveys were being circulated, asking about life after service, concerns, needs, goals. Emily received one in her inbox and paused. Could this be because of Trump's visit? Master Sergeant Walker got a call from Veterans Affairs, inquiring about his late friend's circumstances. Ryan overheard officers discussing new support resources being added. Something had been set in motion. Back in the Capitol, Trump met with military leaders. "No soldier should be homeless. No soldier should feel abandoned," he said. The room went quiet. His message was clear. Change was no longer optional. Then one morning, Sergeant Hayes got a call. It was her friend Marcus, a retired soldier who had struggled for years. Emily, I just got a call. They're offering me a job placement program. I thought they forgot about me. Emily's heart pounded. Could this be real? Weeks passed. Slowly, change began to show. More outreach, more funding, more hope. One night, as soldiers gathered again in the mess hall, the television flickered on. Trump stood at a podium. I visited our brave men and women in uniform, he said. I listened to their stories, and today I'm signing an executive order to expand health care, job training, and mental health resources for veterans and active duty soldiers. No one will be left behind. The room buzzed. He actually did it, Ryan whispered. Not everyone was convinced. Let's see if it lasts, a soldier muttered. But in the following weeks, more programs rolled out. Career mentorships, facility upgrades, time-off policies began to change. Emily received a letter from another female soldier. I finally got to attend my son's school play. I never thought that would happen. Then, Emily was summoned to the base commander's office. She had been invited to the White House. Alongside Ryan, Walker, and a few others, she returned to meet the president. Trump greeted them warmly. Welcome back. Let's talk. He wasn't looking for praise. He wanted feedback. Are we delivering? He asked. They spoke honestly, about hardships, about gaps, and about what still needed fixing. Trump took notes. He asked hard questions. Before they left, he shook each hand. This is just the beginning.